What's going on, guys? Stefan here with you, S&E's Garage. Today we are here in the shop with our Lexus GX470, and we are going to be replacing the inner and outer tie rods. So we're going to do one side here with you, and then off camera we're going to go ahead and do the other side. Let's talk about why we're doing the tie rods. So about a week or two ago, I started noticing that when I hit the gas, the truck would pull to the right, and then when I hit the brakes, the truck would pull to the left. So that indicated to me that we have something going on in the front end, something loose, allowing the front wheels to tow in and tow out when there is gas and when there's brake applied. So the best way to check the front end is you just grab the wheel like this and you very lightly give it a shake. Now, I don't know if you can see on camera here, but we have a very, very small amount of play here, and if I wiggle it, I want you to listen. You can just hear that inner tie rod is making some noise. Now, I verified it was the inners. I had somebody, you're gonna need two people, you're gonna have somebody hold the actual inner tie rod and shake it and feel it. This side isn't as bad. Actually, I probably don't really need to do this side. But if I'm gonna do this, I wanna do both sides and then get a wheel alignment again, just so that I know I'm not gonna have any further issues. So you're gonna need a couple of things to do this. Number one, you're gonna wanna check the condition of your tie rod boots. If your boots are okay, you don't need to replace them, but you are gonna need a set of cutting pliers to cut the inner clamp off that is on the steering rack. You're gonna need some needle nose pliers to go ahead and remove the spring clamp on the outer side of the tie rod. And then you're gonna need two, an inner and an outer tie rod. If you're doing both sides, you're gonna need two inners and two outers. Only one set came so far, so like I said, we're gonna do the first side. And then you're gonna wanna get some of these style clamps with the pliers for them to go ahead and re-secure the inner tie rod boot to the rack. I'll leave all of this stuff in the video description below. You're also going to want a measuring tape. We're gonna take the inner and the outer off in one piece. We're gonna measure it, and then we're going to adjust the new tie rod to that measurement. That way the alignment is close enough. We're not gonna be using an inner tie rod wrench. I'll leave one in the video description below, but because of the way this truck is set up, I can get in there with a pipe wrench and break it loose, and then we can go ahead and tighten it with that pipe wrench as well. So let's go ahead, let's get over to the car, let's pull the passenger front wheel off, and let's get started. So once you get your wheel off, you're gonna go ahead and remove the cotter pin here that is holding this 17mm nut to the steering knuckle, and then you're gonna go ahead and remove that nut. We're just gonna go ahead and give it a little spray here with some penetrating oil, and then carefully remove the cotter pin. And once the cotter pin's out, you can go ahead and remove this nut. It is a 19mm, not a 17. Now once you get this out, you can go ahead and strike the knuckle right here with a hammer, and this will drop out. I had this apart fairly recently, I want to say maybe a month or two ago. And this thing, literally, I took the nut off and it fell right out. But what I want you to see here is just how loose this inner is. There's no resistance here whatsoever. So it's definitely got some play in it. We're gonna go ahead and replace it. So the next thing you're gonna wanna do is get in here with a flathead and go ahead and very carefully pry this clamp off. That's gonna be your easiest way to do it. Right where this lip is here, you're gonna pull towards the front of the vehicle, depending on how your clip is situated. And then you can go ahead and remove this clamp here. And then we're gonna go ahead and slide this boot as far forward as we can to go ahead and access the inner tie rod. It may help to get in here with a pry bar. And tap the clamp loose. can also use a pair of pliers to go ahead and twist the clamp and remove it. Like so. Now we can go ahead and remove this. And now we should be able to slide this boot. We want to get it up and over this nub here. So let's go ahead and give that a little spray. And then we're going to rotate the boot like so. And now what you can basically see here is the inner tie rod. Now we can get our monkey wrench on this and break it loose. Now, one thing that you may have to do is there is a little lock washer on the back of this, but many times you can just like we just did, you can just break it loose and it'll automatically bend the lock washer out. I'll show you what I'm talking about in just a second here. But you'll see now all that we are doing is unthreading this. So this is the lock washer here, and basically these tangs here were bent like this to keep this from moving, but you can just kind of overcome it and it'll come right out. All right guys, so we measured this from end to end and got around 13 3/4 of an inch. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do now is I'm gonna grab this with a set of vice grips. We're gonna crack this jam nut loose here, and we're gonna thread the outer off of the inner. That way we can go ahead and remove this boot and clean it up. All right, and what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take our new lock washer here. These little tabs are going to face in and they're going to lock on to the rack like so. So we're gonna go ahead and slide this over like that with those tabs pointed in. And then we're just going to go ahead and start our inner here. And when it gets to the point where it's ready to bottom out, we'll just come under here and make sure that that tab stays where it needs to be. See, I'm just kind of manipulating the inner here. Okay, now we can go ahead and get our pipe wrench in here. And you may need to adjust it a little bit, but you're just gonna snug it down. You by no means need to murder this, but you do want it tight. So I'm good with that. And now we're just gonna take our hammer and we're going to hammer down the ends of these washers here to basically jam it from backing out. Now that's probably going to be one of the only ones I can get to without damaging that seal or that sealing surface. But if you can get more than one, by all means, and get more than one. So off camera, we just went ahead and used some high temp grease, and we went ahead and we packed the inner tie rod with it. And then we also, over here, let me just show you really quickly, cleaned up our boot, and we went ahead and loosely installed our new clamp that is going to hold this boot in place. So we're gonna go ahead, slide this boot over the rack. We're gonna get in there with our pliers. We're going to clamp this clamp down, and then we can go ahead, slide the spring washer or the spring clamp up over the tie rod, clamp it, and then we can go ahead and adjust our tie rod to length. Now, because of where this clamp is situated, we're going to substitute those pliers I showed you with a pair of dikes, and we're just gonna use the snip portion of the dike to go ahead and crush the clamp. And what you'll see in here is this portion right here of the clamp. You want them almost touching. That's going to tell you that your clamp is tight. So along with measuring the whole length of the tie rod, we did also count the threads away from the base of the tie rod, and we had 7 threads, and I put the 2 tie rods next to each other. They are identical. So we're just going to go ahead now, we're going to put some anti-seize on this, and we're going to go ahead and thread this on. Now again, you are going to want to drive right to an alignment shop after this. This is just to ballpark the suspension so that you know, you can safely get to where you're going without completely destroying your tires. Okay, so I'm happy with that. And now we can go ahead and get our outer into the knuckle, and we can go ahead and tighten it. Now after you do that, all that's left to do is tighten your nut here on the knuckle. In this case, this ended up being a 22. And then you can go ahead and tighten your jam nut. But remember, you're going to get an alignment after this, so you do not by any means need to kill this. Just snug it up. That way it's tight for when you get to the alignment shop, but you definitely want them to be able to take it off, because they might not like you very much if you make it too tight. So now with any luck, when you come and grab your wheel and shake it, it should be nice and tight and you'll be all set to go. So stay tuned. We're gonna go ahead and get the other side done. We're gonna take this thing in for alignment, and then we'll be ready to get on the road. So if this video helped you, please like, share, and subscribe. Smash that like button for me. Like I said before, stay tuned. Plenty more coming on this car or this truck, and we'll see you next time.